In the heart of a lush, vibrant forest, among cattails and lily pads, lived a young frog named Freddy. The pond where Freddy resided was a magnificent canvas of greens and blues, a serene patch of joy in the bustling woodland. The water shimmered with the sun's warm kisses, and the breeze carried the gentle hum of 1,000 tiny creatures who shared their songs throughout the day. It was a perfect place for any frog to frolic, leap, and discover the world around them. Yet, unlike his adventurous peers, Freddy harbored a secret fear that was quite unusual for a frog. He was terrified of jumping. His small heart would race with a fitful rhythm every time he imagined launching himself into the air like the others. Each day he would watch longingly as his frog friends hopped from one lily pad to another, their laughter echoing in joyful melodies across the pond, filling the air like a festive tune. Freddy's grandmother, a wise and gentle soul with eyes that twinkled like moonlit waters, noticed his hesitation. She would sit beside him on their favorite lily pad, her voice as comforting as a soft blanket on a chilly day. "Freddy," she said one evening, as the sun painted the sky in shades of gold and pink, "the world beyond this pond is full of wonders. All you need is one brave jump to see them." Despite her stories of beautiful clover fields topped with sweet dewdrops just waiting for curious frogs, Freddy couldn't shake the dread that tightened around his heart. "What if I can't jump far enough?" he whispered, more to himself than to her. But his grandmother just smiled, her eyes kind and understanding. Days passed, and Freddy remained glued to his safe, familiar lily pad. The comforting crisscross of reeds in the water was a pattern he knew by heart, like his own little kingdom surrounded by a moat of his own making. The thought of stepping, or rather hopping beyond it, seemed as far away as the stars twinkling above him. One day, as Freddy lazed under the soft touch of the morning sun, he overheard some of his frog friends chattering excitedly. Their conversation danced on the wind and into his ears. "Tomorrow, we're going to the far edge, where the clovers bloom with the sweetest nectar," exclaimed a frog with a vibrant green hue. The mention of sweet nectar sent a ripple of curiosity through Freddy, but a heavy wave of fear followed. He imagined being left behind, alone with only the quiet shadows of the pond for company. This thought filled him with a strange urgency that fluttered in his chest like the butterflies in the meadow nearby. Freddy's feet itched with an unusual restlessness, but still his fear anchored him firmly in place. Feeling disheartened, Freddy decided to wander along the pond's edge. The soft earth beneath his feet felt cool and reassuring. Just as he turned a bend, he met an elderly tortoise named Tilly. Her shell was a mosaic of earthen tones, a masterpiece in nature's art gallery. "Hello there, young one," Tilly greeted warmly, her voice a soothing melody. Why the long face on such a beautiful day? Freddy sighed deeply, the weight of his worries heavy on his small shoulders. "I'm just scared to jump," he confessed. Tilly listened, her nod slow and understanding. "You know," she began, a twinkle of wisdom in her eyes, "I too was once afraid. Not of jumping, of course. I wouldn't get very far with these old legs. But I was afraid I couldn't keep up with life being so slow. Yet I found that one brave step at a time, I could journey far." Freddy listened intently, a glimmer of hope cautiously kindling within. Inspired by Tilly's story, he started practicing small hops along the soft, safe shore. Each little jump sent a thrill through him, a warm tingling that replaced his lingering fear. Tilly stayed beside him, her gentle reminders like a chorus encouraging him onward. With every small leap, Freddy's confidence grew, bit by bit, like an unseen sun rising over the horizon. Spurred by his growing confidence and Tilly's unwavering support, Freddy was beginning to feel a spark of courage flicker within him. One morning, as the dew left the grass glistening like tiny jewels, his friends gathered by the pond, their eyes alight with anticipation. It was the day they'd planned to leap toward the edge of the pond, where the clovers promised their sweet nectar. Freddy's heart pounded as he watched them line up along the bank. He could sense an important moment approaching and felt a thrilling yet nerve-wracking urgency. His eyes flitted toward Tilly, who was watching from the shore with the same gentle smile that had accompanied him during his practice jumps. With her nod, which seemed to say, "I believe in you," Freddy felt a rush of warmth. The other frogs took their positions, muscles tensed and ready. "Come on, Freddy, join us," one called, their voices like chimes in a gentle breeze, both inviting and sweet. Freddy stood at the edge, the known safety of his shores behind him, the vast, inviting unknown before him. His grandmother's words echoed softly in his mind, tales of wonders awaiting just one leap away. He felt a strange harmony in his chest, a blend of fear and anticipation, fear that begged him to stay, but a growing hope whispering promises of new horizons. With a deep breath, he closed his eyes and envisioned the clover fields, lush and inviting, where he could join his friends in joyous celebration. Mustering every ounce of newfound courage, Freddy bent his little legs, feeling his muscles coil like springs. Then, in a single fluid motion, he pushed off the ground. The air swirled around him as he leapt, a rush unlike anything he'd ever felt. It was exhilarating. For a moment, time seemed to pause. Freddy flew through the air, buoyant and free, his dream carried by the wings of the wind. When he landed, the soft embrace of the new lily pad caught him, and there was a moment of hushed surprise. Freddy opened his eyes to see his friends around him, their faces alight with amazement. Laughter bubbled up from within him, pure and joyous, resonating over the pond's still waters, a sound he once believed he might never hear. Freddy had found his courage, but more importantly, he had found the joy of a pond of promise fulfilled. As Freddy stood among his friends, the sweet scent of clover swirling around him, he realized his leap had transported him not only to the far side of the pond, but to a whole new world of possibilities. The fields were indeed as lush and inviting as he'd imagined, with vibrant clover blossoms swaying gently in the breeze, their nectar sparkling in the sunlight like tiny droplets of morning dew. His friends gathered around him, celebrating his leap with joyous croaks and cheerful pats on the back. "You did it, Freddy!" they exclaimed, their admiration wrapping around him like a warm hug. The feeling of having conquered his fears filled Freddy with an overwhelming sense of accomplishment. Tilly, who had watched the leap from her spot on the shore, slowly made her way through the grass, her pace deliberate and steady. When she reached Freddy, she nodded approvingly, her eyes shining with pride. "I knew you could do it," she said softly, her voice a comforting melody amidst the cheerful chatter. Freddy smiled back, his heart brimming with gratitude. As he nibbled on a sweet blossom, each taste was a reminder of the courage it had taken to get there. The world seemed more colorful, more vibrant, as though it had been painted anew just for him. Looking around, Freddy saw fields stretching far and wide, filled with endless opportunities and countless chances to explore. His friends dashed cheerfully through the clover patches, their laughter mingling with the rustling leaves, a harmonious symphony in nature's grand orchestra. And as the sun began its slow descent, casting a golden glow over the pond and fields, Freddy understood what his grandmother had meant all along. The world beyond his fears was indeed as rich and rewarding as promised. Freddy realized that while fear was a natural companion, it was the courage to take a leap that revealed life's most wondrous vistas. So it was on that day that Freddy learned what it meant to leap, not just in body, but in spirit, discovering that the first step into the unknown often led to the most beautiful journeys of all. His heart now knew that trying, despite the fear, opened up a world he never dreamed of. The joy of that realization left him smiling under the twilight sky, surrounded by friends and fields that whispered stories of tomorrow. If you enjoyed this story, leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future content.